So eventually this entire marsh is threatened and in
Sure,
jeopardy.
it's going to hurt, the wildlife big time.
Hurricanes, saltwater intrusion, and the lingering effects of an oil spill, putting the Gulf Coast back together again.
Most people realize that's the value of the land, is having the wildlife. When they overshoot it or don't take care of it, it's not good.
Texas landowners work to restore habitat for an iconic bird.
When we stand in the mountains, when we go to Shenandoah Mountain, we get this sense of aha, there is something greater than myself.
From the minister to the mountain biker, these Virginians aim to protect their outdoor treasures. Those stories starting now on This American Land. Funding for This American Land is provided by the Turner Foundation.
Hello and welcome to This American Land. I'm your host, Ed Arnett. We've got some great stories for you today about the conservation of America's natural resources, our landscapes, waters, wildlife, and the people that are dedicated to conservation. In our first story today, I'll take you to the Gulf Coast along the Texas and Louisiana border, where a critical wetland ecosystem, the Cheniere Plain, is being threatened by severe coastal erosion, a threat not only to marshes, plants, and animals, but also to the major industrial infrastructure in the region.
The Cheniere Plain is one of the most globally significant ecoregions that we have really in all of the Western Hemisphere.
This is one in a million. We love our coast. We love the hunting, the fishing, the family atmosphere that it brings.
This is a breach. Over the last 75 years, this 119,000 acre Cheniere Marsh has been under assault.
What are some of the major threats to this system?
Sea level rise, saltwater intrusion.
When you start cutting channels through an area, you change the internal plumbing.
Hurricane Ike did a whole lot of damage. Also, there's always that threat of another oil spill.
Our economy was hurt years ago, so we're trying to restore what we lost.
Millions of birds migrate to this area in the wintertime. It's very important we maintain what we have, and the first step is to protect our coastline.
There's no doubt that the stakes are high, and certainly complacency is not an option.
So we're in the Houston, Port Arthur, Beaumont area of Texas. Some 50+% of the nation's oil that we produce here in the U.S., as well as our imported oil, is refined here in this particular area. It's also home to a large military base. Amidst all of this industrial complex, one of the most ecologically diverse and rich areas in North America. It's called the Cheniere Plain, and it stretches from the Houston area all the way over to the southwest portion of Louisiana, some 5 million acres of wetlands and marshes.
This is one of the most important areas for wintering waterfowl and wading birds and shorebirds and all of North America. It's particularly important as a larval or nursery area for finfish and shellfish. And of course, the marshes and dunes play a critically important role in the resilience of these communities as the first line of defense against storm surges in the Gulf of Mexico.
When a storm comes ashore, the water hits this rough area, right? And that knocks the energy down.
This is John Foray, and he's a wetland ecologist with NOAA.
But when you lose the habitat, you lose that ability. And so saltwater intrusion is one of the largest factors that the Cheniere Plain is facing as far as a detriment to habitat. And that the plant communities can't respond quick enough when the water changes from a fresh to a salt environment. Leads to plant death, leads to marsh breakup, and so it weakens the landscape as a whole. When you weaken the landscape, it reduces the storm surge buffer that happens.
We're very, very dependent on this area because of the fresh water. And it is a beautiful day.
This is Dow Gene Anderson, and Dow's a local resident here in the Chenier Plain and a hunting and fishing guide. Dal, why don't you tell us a little bit about what we're going to see today?
We're going to see a levee that's breached in Sabine Lake in a 1,200 acre freshwater reservoir.
Well, let's take a boat ride and go look at it.
Let's do it. See that boat? After Ike, all that came over here from Louisiana. You can see right there is a good example. Storm after storm, high tide after high tide, it just has over time washed away. And herein lies the breach.